Welcome back to episode number 10 of ECW CyberSlam. We are back in the Hammerstein Ballroom, but before we go live into the arena, Paul Heyman introduces the show, relaying what happened in the main event of last week's historic episode of CyberSlam. Heyman puts over Rob Van Dam's victory, which secured him the ECW World Championship, his first time as a world champion. Tonight, Heyman wants to make the moment extra special, therefore at the end of the night, he will present Rob Van Dam with the ECW World Championship in the middle of the ring. We continue our storyline, and that is a 59, a C rating, a very good start to an episode of CyberSlam. We then go into a video package which follows the opening credits, footage from last week's main event shown, Rob Van Dam hitting the 5-star frog splash to CM Punk, who looked close to making Steve Corino submit at that time. Punk pinned by Van Dam, a new ECW World Champion crowned. Footage is then shown of Rob Van Dam celebrating his victory as the show goes into the commentator's introduction. We don't get much time for Joey Styles and Taz to talk, however, as they are interrupted by Brent Albright, who storms down to the ring with a little warning. His music doesn't even hit. He takes a microphone and turns towards the entranceway. He says 3 weeks. He's waited 3 weeks for them to allow him to come out here, and he isn't wasting any more time. Brent Albright calls out Stevie Richards. He demands he come to the ring right now. Albright stands looking furious in the ring as the commentators remind viewers of Richards' attack on Brent Albright as he was moments away from securing his place in the ECW World Championship match 3 weeks ago. We get a 30E+, Brent Albright continually putting in poor performances. Let's see what happens in the match. An E+34. It's not great really, is it? It continues the storyline. Stevie Richards defeats Brent Albright in 10 minutes and 30 by pinfall with a jackknife powerbomb. We did, however, keep Brent Albright strong in the match because as Albright once again had somebody in that crowbar submission hold, Richards was not getting out of it, but C.W. Anderson came down and broke up the hold. Anderson then hit Brent Albright with a spinebuster in the middle of the ring. Stevie Richards then hitting a super kick and a jackknife powerbomb for the victory. After the match, Stevie Richards stands tall, stealing the victory from Brent Albright, and almost a repeat of the attack that happened 3 weeks ago. C.W. Anderson raises the hand of the self-proclaimed Gatekeeper of ECW after throwing Brent Albright to the outside. The commentators sympathise with the shooter who has been screwed at every turn imaginable in recent weeks. We then get footage from last week, CM Punk being interviewed about the defeat in the main event. He was tired and frustrated, and his mood was only made worse when he was crowded by Homicide, Low-Key, Xavier and Sonny Siaki. Homicide, as always, led the group, telling Punk that he made a huge mistake in turning down their help last week. It was clear that Homicide himself was still feeling the effects of their match, but Punk just tried to brush him off. When Sonny Siaki, the only member of the group who looks like he could possibly be ready to fight, looked to intimidate Punk, CM Punk just flipped. Punk told Siaki or any member of the group that if they wanted to piss him off, they'd succeeded, and he'd see one of them in the ring next week. That match will take place tonight, CM Punk against a member of the new Breed Revolutionaries. That is a D+ 48 rating. Punk and Homicide doing well. Siaki still not suited to his gimmick. I'll have to look at that because I keep seeing it when I run the shows and then doing nothing about it. We get an E+, another poor match, a 31. This wasn't a surprise. Trinity with a 1 rating there. That is pretty impressive. Little Guido getting a 51. We continue that storyline. A terrible match as expected. Trinity and the full-blooded Italians defeat Shelly Martinez, Roadkill and Doring. Little Guido pinning Doring with an Arrivederci. Guido a head and shoulders above Trinity, the weak link. That's to be expected. After the match, the FBI have their celebration and leave Danny Doring, Roadkill and Shelly Martinez regroup in the ring. When all three are on their feet, Shelly shakes her head at the men. She calls Danny Doring a loser and says that she doesn't want anything to do with him. She's found somebody else. The commentators recall her being seen with Johnny Swinger last week, and as Martinez leaves the ring, Swinger comes to the top of the ramp. He's arms open. He's ready to embrace Shelly Martinez, but she completely blanks him. She walks past Johnny Swinger and heads to the back. Johnny left just as embarrassed as Danny Doring was in the ring. We then get a promo from Brent Albright, a 19E+, absolutely terrible. His dialogue was a mess. Brent Albright's interviewed in the back. Perhaps this fits in with just how angry he is, but it's not very good in terms of ratings. He is barely able to speak clearly, understandably pissed off about what happened, wondering what the hell he'd have to do to get a fair shot in ECW. The shooter intended to do exactly what he's always done. He's going to fight and keep fighting until he makes it to the top of this company. We then get CM Punk, also pissed off in the ring, a 76B-. That is a brilliant rating. He makes his entrance for his match with Xavier. When that group's music hits, nobody comes out. CM Punk seemingly being no-showed for the main event. Punk takes a microphone, calling out Xavier or Siaki or whoever it is who wants to fight him to come out right now. Again, there's no response. Punk eventually giving up and telling Paul Heyman that he's come here for a fight, and if those guys have gone AWOL, he'd better send somebody out. This once again takes longer than Punk's hoped, and he's threatening that if nobody comes out, he's going to come to the back and pick a fight with the first person he sees. A reluctant Johnny Swinger then comes out from the back. In 3 minutes and 23, a complete one-sided domination, Punk just destroying Johnny Swinger for the duration of the match. He makes him tap out with the Anaconda Vice, a D+ 51 rating, an impressive 74 for CM Punk, and that gets the crowd hotter. The commentators do put over during the match that Johnny Swinger is not in ECW as a wrestler, but as the mentor of Elijah Burke. He wasn't ready to compete. Punk then stands tall in the ring, he's in no mood to celebrate, and heads straight to the back. As he does this, the commentators introduce a final recap of Rotterdam Dam's victory last week, saying that this is probably why Punk is in such a bad mood, as the footage is shown and the commentators talk. Final touches are put together for Paul Heyman's ECW World Championship presentation up next. We then go into that segment, a 62C rating. Rotterdam Dam struggling when going off script, but it was really a Paul Heyman-led promo, so not really too important. With the title set up in the ring, Paul Heyman makes his way down to ringside, introducing the new ECW World Champion, Rob Van Dam. Paul Heyman then proceeds to thank Rob Van Dam, just like all those originals who made this possible. Not only through their hard work in the original ECW, but by making sure that there was a demand for a resurrection of this great company. But particular thanks does go to Rob Van Dam, mostly for what he risked. Heyman says that Rob Van Dam was a guaranteed future WWE champion, but he traded it all in for the one title in ECW that had always eluded him. Rob Van Dam nods with this, he agrees, he thanks Paul Heyman for speaking from the heart so candidly. Heyman then goes to hand the title to Rob Van Dam, but he holds on as RVD grabs it. Heyman says that from the bottom of his heart he is proud to hand this title to Rob Van Dam. They go way back, and this means so much. It means so much to Heyman to see Rob Van Dam as a world champion. When he conceived the new ECW, he saw that things would be different how they used to be, but Rob Van Dam was always going to be a huge part of the company. As a forward-thinking revolutionary, he had a vision, but this wasn't how it was supposed to be. Van Dam's confused, and again tries to take the title from Heyman, but Paul just adds, "I'm sorry, it wasn't supposed to be like this." As he says that, the new Breed Revolutionaries are seen entering the ring having jumped the guardrail. Heyman releases his grasp on the title and takes a step back as Rob Van Dam is jumped by Xavier, Low-Key, Homicide and Sonny Siaki. The four men brutally lay into the new ECW World Champion, kicking him and punching him in a street-style assault. Paul Heyman remains in the ring. Putting his head down, he can't watch as this attack happens to one of the men who made ECW what it is today, as well as being one of his closest personal friends. Heyman can't help but take brief glances, however, as Rob Van Dam is completely destroyed by the pack mentality of the Revolutionaries. The ECW Chief looks ashamed of what is happening, but when Low-Key pries the title from Rob Van Dam's grasp and raises it in the air, Heyman can't help but smile and smirk at the situation that he has crafted. Joey Styles and Taz are disgusted by what they see, and they're disgusted at Paul Heyman as a defenseless world champion lays out cold to end CyberSlam. It's only 43D, but the segment before that was good, and hopefully those can bring us up to a good rating in the end. But a huge shocking moment, a story-shifting event to end the show, and we'll see how that affects the overall rating. A 60C rating, that is a very good rating for the show, helped a lot by CM Punk and Paul Heyman talking. Terrible in-ring action throughout the night, but it was a significant night simply because Paul Heyman has turned on Rob Van Dam, perhaps revealing that he has something to do with that group of new breed revolutionaries, Homicide, Low-Key, Sonny Siaki and Xavier standing tall to end the show. We'll find out more about that next week on CyberSlam.